What if I told you there is a so-called health nut that millions of American men eat every single day, believing it's protecting their heart? What if that very snack, the one you grab from the pantry without a second thought, could be the hidden fuel inflaming your prostate and methodically shutting down your erections for good? It sounds impossible, but the enemy of your masculine vitality isn't always obvious. It doesn't announce its arrival. Instead, it hides in plain sight, disguised as a smart choice, silently sabotaging the very systems that make you feel like a man. This isn't about scare tactics. It's about pulling back the curtain on a devastating truth that has been ignored for far too long, a truth that could be the key to reclaiming the power and confidence you thought were gone forever. I'm Dr. Megan Fischer, and for over 2 decades in my clinical practice, I've sat with good men, fathers, husbands, and grandfathers who have built incredible lives who come into my office feeling broken. They speak in hushed tones about a loss of virility, a fading spark, and a deep-seated fear that their best years are behind them. But I am here to tell you that their problem was never their age. It was misinformation. They were unknowingly following advice that was poisoning their manhood from the inside out. Today, we are going to break that destructive cycle. We are going to replace the myths with medical truth and give you a clear, actionable plan to fight back, not with a magic pill, but with powerful knowledge that puts you back in control of your own body and your dignity. That frustrating feeling of never quite emptying your bladder, forcing you to get up 2, 3, or even 4 times a night, completely shattering your sleep. Then, in an intimate moment with the person you love, your body simply refuses to cooperate, leaving you with a cold wave of shame and anxiety. These are not separate, unrelated problems of getting older. Think of them as a series of flashing warning lights on your body's dashboard. Each one, the weak stream, the nightly bathroom trips, the faltering erection, is signaling a single central fire raging within, chronic, low-grade inflammation. And until you address the source of that flame, you will only be treating the smoke, never truly solving the problem that is robbing you of your rest, your confidence, and your vitality. This inflammation has a primary target, your prostate. You must understand that your prostate is the command center for your masculine health. It governs not just your urinary function, but is also intricately linked to the neurovascular signals required for a firm, lasting erection. When this command center is under constant inflammatory attack, the entire system begins to fail. The signals get crossed, blood flow is restricted, and the delicate machinery of your manhood grinds to a halt. This is why the little blue pill often feels like a temporary patch on a failing dam. It doesn't stop the pressure from building. To truly restore your power, we must extinguish the fire at its source, and that fight begins with what's on your plate. Let me tell you about a patient of mine, a man I'll call Bob. At 72, he had been married to the love of his life for 45 wonderful years. When he sat in my office, his shoulders were slumped in a way that had nothing to do with his age and everything to do with a profound sense of defeat. He told me, "Doc, I guess this is just how it is now." He still adored his wife, saw the same beauty in her eyes that he did half a century ago, but he had begun to pull away. He'd make excuses to go to bed early or stay up late, creating a physical distance to avoid the potential for intimacy, because the fear of failure had become a crushing weight on his soul. Bob's avoidance wasn't born from a lack of desire, but from a deep, gnawing shame. He felt like less of a man, as if a fundamental part of his identity had been stolen from him in the night. The thought of disappointing his wife, of seeing a flicker of frustration or pity in her eyes, was more than he could bear. So he built a wall around his heart, brick by brick, with every avoided touch and every turn back in bed. He was silently grieving the loss of a connection that had defined his marriage, and in his mind, he was the sole person to blame for this devastating erosion of their physical bond. The irony was that Bob was doing everything he was told was right for his health. He walked every morning, he watched his weight, and every single afternoon, he'd sit down with his newspaper and a big bowl of roasted and salted mixed nuts. He'd point to the heart-healthy symbol on the can, believing he was protecting his most vital organ. He had no idea that this daily ritual, this seemingly smart choice, was the very source of the inflammatory fire that was extinguishing his virility. He was unknowingly feeding the very problem that was robbing him of his confidence and his connection to his wife. When I explained the connection to him, it was like a light went on in his eyes. The burden of personal failure began to lift, replaced by a spark of hope. It wasn't his age that was the enemy. It wasn't a flaw in his character. It was an ingredient, a hidden saboteur in his pantry. The idea that he could fight back, that he could regain control by simply changing what was in his snack bowl, was a revelation. For the first time in years, Bob saw a path forward, a way to reclaim not just his erection, but his role as a loving, intimate partner to the woman he cherished. Then there was David, a different story, but the same underlying pain. At 68, he was recently divorced and cautiously stepping back into the world of dating. He had met a wonderful woman who made him feel alive again, who laughed at his jokes and brought a warmth back into his life that he thought was gone for good. But with this new hope came a terrifying, paralyzing anxiety. The pressure to perform, to be the man he wanted to be for her, was immense. This fear became a self-fulfilling prophecy, making any chance of a successful, intimate encounter feel like an impossible mountain to climb. David's anxiety was a constant companion. Before a date, his heart would pound not with excitement, but with dread. He was so preoccupied with the fear of what might go wrong in the bedroom that he could barely enjoy the simple pleasure of a shared meal or a good conversation. He felt like a fraud, presenting himself as a confident, capable man while internally he was battling a storm of self-doubt. This internal conflict was exhausting, and it was preventing him from truly opening up and building the new chapter he so desperately wanted for his life. His go-to habit? Every evening while watching the game, he would mindlessly work his way through a bag of roasted peanuts. It was a comfort food, a ritual that helped him unwind. He thought of it as a harmless snack, far better than a bag of potato chips or a bowl of ice cream. What David didn't realize was that he was pouring gasoline on his anxiety. Each handful of those oil-roasted legumes was contributing to the systemic inflammation that was constricting blood flow and short-circuiting the very neurological signals his body needed to respond to arousal. He was feeding the beast that was killing his confidence. For men like Bob and David, and for so many of you watching, the problem feels impossibly large and deeply personal. But the solution often begins with a simple, powerful piece of knowledge. It starts with understanding the real mechanism at work inside your body. The moment David understood that his snack choice was directly linked to his performance anxiety, he felt empowered. The problem was no longer some mysterious, unconquerable part of aging. It was a tangible enemy with a name, and he now had a weapon to fight it. This shift in perspective is the first and most critical step toward reclaiming your manhood. To truly grasp what's happening, I want you to imagine the arteries that feed your erection are like a brand new, flexible garden hose. When your brain sends the signal of arousal, it's like turning the faucet on full blast. The hose expands easily, and a powerful, rushing flow of water, or in this case, blood, goes exactly where it needs to go, creating a firm, lasting result. This is your body's natural, healthy design. It's a system built for powerful, reliable performance, and it is meant to work well for your entire life when it is properly maintained. Now imagine what happens to that same hose after years of being left out in the elements. Chronic inflammation is like rust and mineral deposits building up on the inside, making the hose stiff, brittle, and narrow. The material itself becomes less pliable, less able to expand under pressure. The opening becomes clogged and restricted, reducing the flow to a mere trickle. This is precisely what low-grade systemic inflammation does to the delicate blood vessels responsible for your erections. It damages their lining, robs them of their flexibility, and creates an environment where blood flow is severely compromised. It doesn't matter how strong the signal from your brain is, or how much you desire your partner. It doesn't matter how much you turn up the faucet. If the hose is clogged and damaged, the powerful flow of blood required for a strong erection simply cannot get through. This is why so many men find that pills become less effective over time. They might artificially increase the pressure at the source, but they do nothing to fix the underlying rust and blockage in the delivery system. To restore function, you must clean out the hose itself. This internal rust, this chronic inflammation, has a specific cause. It is often fueled by an imbalance in your diet, specifically between two types of fatty acids, omega-3s and omega-6s. Think of omega-3s, found in things like wild salmon and flax seeds, as the firefighters of your body. They are anti-inflammatory, calming down irritation, and promoting healing. Omega-6s, on the other hand, are pro-inflammatory. While we need some of them, our modern diet is dangerously overloaded with them, creating a constant five-alarm fire inside our cells. This brings us to the hidden enemy in your pantry. The problem isn't nuts themselves. In their raw, natural state, nuts like almonds and walnuts are incredibly healthy. The danger is created in the processing. When these nuts, and especially peanuts, which are technically legumes, are roasted at high temperatures in cheap industrial-grade vegetable oils like soybean, corn, sunflower, or cottonseed oil, their chemical structure changes. They become loaded with those inflammatory omega-6 fatty acids, turning a healthy food into a tiny, crunchy inflammation bomb. This isn't just a theory, it's a well-documented scientific reality. A landmark body of research, including influential studies from institutions like the Harvard School of Public Health, has drawn a direct, undeniable line between diets high in omega-6 fatty acids and the kind of systemic, chronic inflammation that is a primary driver of modern disease. This research confirms that the exact type of inflammation fueled by these processed oils is particularly damaging to vascular health and has a strong affinity for targeting the delicate tissues of the prostate gland. When your prostate is chronically inflamed, it swells, putting pressure on your urethra and causing all those frustrating urinary symptoms, the weak stream, the constant urge to go, the nighttime awakenings. But it does something else, something even more devastating to your manhood. This inflammation creates a hostile environment that crushes your body's ability to produce its most critical molecule for erections, nitric oxide. Think of nitric oxide as the master switch that tells your blood vessels to relax, open up, and allow blood to rush in. Without sufficient nitric oxide, your arteries remain constricted. The signal for arousal might be sent, but the command to open the floodgates is never received. Inflammation is the ultimate enemy of nitric oxide production. It essentially suffocates the enzymes that create this essential gas, rendering your body incapable of responding to stimulation. You are left in a state of perpetual physiological resistance, where your body is physically unable to achieve what your mind and heart desire. This is the biological trap that so many men find themselves in. But here is the powerful, liberating truth. You can turn this entire situation around. You can extinguish that internal fire and restore your body's natural machinery. The path to reclaiming your vitality and your confidence doesn't require a magic pill or an invasive procedure. It begins with a simple, conscious decision to stop consuming the foods that are fueling the inflammation and to start incorporating the foods that fight it. This is your battle plan, your anti-flame protocol, and it starts with one easy step. The first step is to swap it out. I want you to go to your pantry right now, find that can of roasted, salted, mixed nuts, or that bag of oil-roasted peanuts, and make a conscious decision to replace them. This isn't about deprivation. It's about a strategic upgrade. You are removing a known saboteur from your diet and replacing it with a powerful ally. This single act is a declaration that you are taking back control of your health and your manhood. Your new go-to snack should be raw, unsalted nuts. The difference is night and day. Raw nuts have not been subjected to high-heat processing with inflammatory oils, so their healthy fats remain intact and beneficial. A small handful of raw almonds or walnuts provides healthy fats, fiber, and magnesium, which is crucial for testosterone production and cardiovascular health. You are swapping out an inflammatory agent for a nutrient-dense superfood that actively supports your masculine systems. For an even bigger prostate health boost, make raw Brazil nuts a regular part of your routine. Just 2 or 3 of these nuts per day provide your full recommended daily intake of selenium, a powerful antioxidant mineral that has been shown in numerous studies to be profoundly protective of the prostate gland. Think of selenium as a shield for your prostate cells, helping to guard them against the oxidative stress and damage that can lead to inflammation and swelling. It's a simple, powerful addition to your daily regimen. Making this swap does more than just remove a negative from your diet. It introduces a cascade of positive effects. By reducing your omega-6 intake, you immediately lower the inflammatory burden on your body. This allows your system to begin healing. The lining of your arteries can start to repair itself. Your prostate inflammation can begin to subside, and your body can finally start to ramp up its production of that all-important nitric oxide. It's the first, most critical domino to fall in the journey back to potency. Step 2 of the protocol is to add it in. It's not enough to just remove the bad guys. You have to actively enlist the good guys. You want to start crowding out inflammation by flooding your body with powerful, natural, anti-inflammatory compounds and nutrients. Your plate becomes your primary weapon in this fight. One of the most potent of these is lycopene, the antioxidant that gives tomatoes their rich red color. Interestingly, the lycopene in tomatoes becomes more bioavailable, meaning easier for your body to absorb and use when it's cooked. This makes things like tomato sauce, tomato paste, and even a healthy ketchup. Watch the sugar, prostate-protecting superstars. Lycopene is drawn to the tissues of the prostate, where it acts as a potent antioxidant, neutralizing damaging free radicals and helping to cool the flames of inflammation directly at the source. Making a simple, homemade tomato sauce a weekly staple is a delicious way to protect your command center. Next, I want you to make green tea a part of your daily ritual. Swap out one of your cups of coffee or a sugary soda for a freshly brewed cup of green tea. This ancient beverage is packed with powerful antioxidants called catechins, most notably one known as EGCG. These compounds are renowned for their anti-inflammatory properties throughout the body. They work by inhibiting the inflammatory pathways that processed foods activate, effectively calming your system from the inside out and supporting the health of your entire vascular network. Furthermore, you must actively increase your intake of omega-3 fatty acids, the firefighters I mentioned earlier. The most potent source of these is wild-caught fatty fish, like salmon, mackerel, and sardines. Aim for at least 2 servings per week. The omega-3s in these fish, specifically EPA and DHA, are the direct counterbalance to the pro-inflammatory omega-6s. They actively work to resolve inflammation, improve blood vessel flexibility, and support healthy circulation, which is the absolute foundation of erectile function. By consistently adding these foods to your diet, you are not just hoping for a change. You are actively building a more resilient, anti-inflammatory internal environment. Each meal becomes an opportunity to strengthen your defenses, repair damage, and provide your body with the raw materials it needs to rebuild your masculine vitality from the ground up. You are transforming your body from a state of chronic alarm to a state of calm, powerful readiness. The final step of the protocol is perhaps the most misunderstood, but it is critically important. Fire it up. Your circulatory system, particularly the intricate network of vessels in your penis, operates on a fundamental biological principle: use it or lose it. Regular blood flow is not just necessary for an erection to occur, it is essential for keeping the tissues themselves healthy, oxygenated, and responsive. When this system is not regularly activated, the tissues can become deoxygenated and less elastic, making it even harder to achieve an erection in the future. This is where we must have an honest, mature conversation about the importance of healthy, conscious self-stimulation. For many men of your generation, this topic may be surrounded by shame or guilt, but from a purely medical and physiological standpoint, it is a non-negotiable aspect of maintaining erectile health, especially when you are working to restore function. It is a form of physical therapy for your vascular system. It is not something to be ashamed of. It is a proactive step toward reclaiming your physical power. Regularly encouraging blood flow to the penis, whether with a partner or alone, acts like exercise for the smooth muscle tissues and the delicate blood vessels. It keeps them toned, flexible, and ready to respond when called upon. It helps to flush out old, deoxygenated blood and bring in a fresh supply of oxygen and nutrients, which is vital for tissue repair and health. This practice helps to reestablish and strengthen the neural pathways between your brain and your body, reminding the system how to work correctly. Think of it as starting the engine of a classic car every few days to keep it in good working order. If you let it sit idle for months, the battery dies, the fluids settle, and the parts seize up. Your erectile system is no different. It requires regular activation to maintain its readiness and its health. By embracing this practice as a vital component of your health regimen, you are taking a powerful, hands-on approach to preserving one of the most fundamental aspects of your masculine identity. This three-pronged approach, swapping it out, adding it in, and firing it up, is not a quick fix. It is a comprehensive strategy for rebuilding your health from the cellular level. It addresses the root cause of the problem, inflammation, rather than just masking the symptoms. It puts the power of healing directly back into your hands, empowering you with the knowledge and the tools to make a profound and lasting change in your life and your relationships. The stories of Bob and David are not unique. I have seen this transformation happen for hundreds of men who felt just as hopeless and defeated as they did. I saw Bob return to my office a few months later, standing taller, with a light in his eyes I hadn't seen before. He spoke of sharing romantic dinners with his wife again, of holding her hand without fear, and of rediscovering a physical intimacy he thought was lost to him forever. I heard from David, too. He sent me an email with a picture of him and his new partner, both of them smiling, on a trip they had taken together. He said the anxiety that once ruled his life had faded into the background. He no longer saw intimacy as a test to be passed or failed, but as a joyful expression of a new and beautiful connection. He felt confident, he felt whole, and most importantly, he felt like himself again. These men didn't find a fountain of youth. They didn't turn back the clock to when they were 25. What they did was far more powerful. They took control of their health, addressed the root cause of their struggles, and allowed their bodies to heal and function as they were designed to. They rediscovered their virility not as a number or a performance metric, but as an integral part of their vitality and their joy for life. They learned that their manhood was not defined by a single act, but by their overall strength, their confidence, and their ability to connect deeply with another person. They stopped blaming their age and started fighting the true enemy, and in doing so, they won back not just their erections, but their dignity. This same path is available to you right now. The journey begins with the very next meal you eat. Reclaiming your virility isn't about trying to be 25 again. It's about becoming the most potent, vibrant, and fully alive version of yourself at 60, 70, or even 80. It's about fighting for that spark, not just in the bedroom, but in your own eyes when you look in the mirror. It's about restoring the profound connection with your partner that is built on more than just words. Your sexuality is a fundamental pillar of your health, a powerful expression of your life force, and a key to your longevity. You must not let misinformation or a sense of resignation convince you to give up on it. The power to reignite that flame is not lost to time. It is waiting for you to reclaim it, starting with the very next choice you make for your health. This journey is about more than just a physical function. It is about reclaiming your dignity. For too long, society has told men that this decline is an inevitable part of the aging process, a chapter to be accepted with quiet defeat. I am here to tell you that is a lie. Your manhood, your identity, and your sense of self are not defined by the number on your birth certificate. They are defined by your strength, your resilience, and your willingness to fight for the life you deserve. Don't let a silent, internal fire rob you of the confidence and joy that are rightfully yours. This is your body, your health, and your life. It is time to fight for it, because it belongs to you and no one else. The path forward does not require you to accept a life of quiet desperation or to rely on a temporary fix that never addresses the root of the problem. The transformation begins when you realize that you are not broken. Your body is simply responding to the fuel you have been giving it. By consciously choosing to remove the agents of inflammation and flood your system with the nutrients that heal, you are putting yourself back in the driver's seat. You are sending a powerful message to every cell in your body that it is time to rebuild, to restore, and to reawaken. This is the path to true, lasting potency, one built on a foundation of genuine health and self-respect. If this message has hit home for you today, know that you are not alone in this fight. There are millions of good men just like you who are ready to take back control. Show your commitment to your health and stand with them by typing the word dignity in the comments below. By doing so, you declare that you are part of a movement of men who refuse to fade away. Subscribe to this channel and share this video with a brother, a father, or a friend who needs to hear that it is never too late. Together, we are rewriting the story of what it means to be a powerful and vital man at any age.